Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Great Wealth Strategies. This is Eric Kenyon, also known as Regular Joe, here to fill up your cup of Joe so that you'll pass this on and share it with some folks. Just like I am passing on some information from an unlikely source. I found this on MSN Money, an article by Aaron Crowe, who is from credit.com. It's entitled, Who Pays Off Credit Card Debt After a Death? And I thought this was pretty interesting. I wanted to share this with you all because there are quite a few baby boomers that are subscribers to this channel, and I thought this was pretty interesting, both for my case and for a lot of your cases. It might be an article you may have missed. So, credit card companies acknowledge that many people have a lot of debt, and how do they deal with that after they pass away? We're going to figure out here. So, paying the debts of a relative who recently died might feel like a very much so moral obligation, but whether it's legal, one may not immediately be clear whether they're allowed to even do that. Dealing with a loved one's credit card debt has a few twists to it, but in general, these debts are not the responsibility, I repeat, not the responsibility of their heirs, and require the credit card company to make a claim according to several lawyers and financial experts. In short, the debts of the deceased are the responsibility of the estate, going through probate and whatnot. They are also first deducted from the estate's assets before being distributed based on priority, says Michael Duffy, who's a lawyer in Philadelphia, so that gets into inheritance as well. So, however, there are no assets if there are no assets, or the debts exceed the assets. The outstanding debt is actually written off by the creditors. The credit card companies will write off the debt. So unless, we got to keep in mind with this right here, the liability side of it. So a wife, for example, isn't responsible. A wife is not responsible for the debt if the husband was listed as the only user on a card. But if she was a joint account holder, she is then liable for that debt. If the spouse was only an authorized user, however, they are not liable for the debt. Gets a little confusing, doesn't it? When it comes to spouses and who owes what, the issues can get really confusing when you move into community property states, where debts incurred after the marriage may be considered, no matter who opened the accounts up, as community property, even if one spouse took out the loan. In these cases, it's obviously best to seek legal guidance from your attorney on almost any of these. For some people, getting involved in a parent's debt isn't a choice they can avoid. A lady named Corinne Westhoven of New Jersey became an authorized user on his mom's, Corinne Westhoven, on his mom's credit cards so that he could help his mom handle his affairs before she died. The decision ultimately affected his home refinance 2 years later after she had died. The credit card companies acknowledged that Westhoven wasn't really liable for his mother's debt, but they still reported him to the credit reporting agencies for having unpaid debts. Even though it wasn't his, it was his mom's. This caused his credit scores to drop dramatically and left him unable to refinance his home. Even for relatives who aren't joint account holders or authorized users, they can still be liable if they use the deceased's credit card. Now listen to this. An attorney in Southfield, Michigan says he had a client who wasn't a co-signer on a credit card she learned about and used after her husband died. So she didn't know about the credit card. He died, and she just went ahead and used his credit card. So she charged $5,000 for his funeral expenses to his credit card. And the credit card company then sued her for $25,000 that was actually owed on the credit card, including that $5,000, taking the position that the spouse was now liable for the entire amount of the debt because they went and used the card. So who gets paid first? If an estate goes into probate, which is the first step in the legal process of administering the estate of a deceased person, then the court will decide which creditors get paid before any heirs will receive any kind of inheritance whatsoever. In general, California law requires written notice to creditors when probate is opened, giving the creditor 4 months to make a claim. But credit cards are one of the last items to actually be paid from an estate, Field says. Other liabilities take priority, such as taxes, mortgages, Medicaid, administration expenses, and funeral expenses. Of course, taxes are on the top of that list. What should you do if a relative dies with a credit card debt? This is the most important thing with this post. Please pay attention. Jeffrey A. Field, who's a certified financial planner, practices in California and both Utah, suggests this. Cut up the cards and send them to the issuer with a statement of the date of death and contact the 3 credit reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, informing them of the date of the death and to close that credit profile immediately. They should also check if there was any insurance for the credit cards that would pay off the amounts at death as well. So once again, this is a post from Coffee with Great Wealth Strategies. Hope this helps you guys out to understand a little bit about credit cards here, and please visit our website to find out other strategies so you can help preserve your wealth. And definitely do me a favor and share this, because a lot of people don't know what to do with credit card debt for a loved one that has passed away, and how you can get in a lot of trouble, and how you can most appropriately approach being able to get out of that situation. So once again, Coffee with Great Wealth Strategies. Here's my cup of Joe, filling yours up. Please pass this on to everybody you know out there. Facebook it, Twitter it, friend it, like our YouTube accounts. Enjoyed having you guys here today, and I appreciate your time. Once again, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.